Hey guys, Layla here. So, welcome to my art channel. And today I have prepared a tutorial on how to draw hair. So, I hope you enjoy it and I hope you learn new things today. So, basically, right now I'm just quickly doing a base sketch, just working on getting a pose in there, just something quick, light. This is pretty much the very messy part. You don't really have to focus too much on specifics. You're just working on getting, a general idea of what it is that you're going to be drawing. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go ahead and resize it because it came out kind of small. So, by the way, the program I'm using is Paint Tool Sci. For those who don't know or don't recognize it. And basically, it just uses the selection tool to resize it, holding shift as I make it bigger so that the proportions stay the same. I went ahead and I copied and I pasted it in order to make a duplicate. And what I just do here is I change it because I am doing two different hairstyles. So I wanted two different base sketches. The second one, of course, is going to be different. Her head is tilted to the side to kind of give us a different angle. So the second character will have a different pose overall. Mostly because this is going to be a series of tutorials that'll focus on more than just one thing. So for this video specifically, we're focusing on just each character's hairstyle, which, like I said before, will be different. And then going on from there, we'll go into the eyes, and both eyes will be different, and so on and so forth. The lips, the nose, and the body, the clothing, and etc. So right now I went ahead and I lightened the first base sketch. I lightened the opacity in order to go in and make another layer where I just put down simple shapes for how I want the hair to look. Then I lighten that one, the opacity of that one, and then I go in with another layer and I start putting down detail. I've got the fringe going. You want to just do just any kind of strokes that you feel would, be there, but also have it going with the direction, with the shapes that you have already made. And then if you want, this is kind of extra, but you can go ahead and you can lighten that layer and kind of finalize the look with another layer going in and really just getting the overall, I wouldn't say individual hairs, but getting more texture into the hair and making it just look more flowy, more alive, I guess you could say. That's obviously not something you have to do. I did that just to show simplicity. So with this next one, I'm going in and I'm creating like an Ariel kind of bang. I wanted to have like a floating side bob, I guess you could say. So I'm just working on a shape here, laying it down nice and thick so that I can really get the idea. I also feel that thicker lines are easier to deal with or create. So then, like the other one before, I'm going to go ahead and lighten that layer, the opacity, and then I go in and make another layer, and then I go in and I'm putting down the detail of how the hair is going to look, how it's going to basically just form around, this shape. So then I just go in. I'm making some little adjustments here to the sketch, and after I finish tweaking a little bit on the bottom, I go in and I just add extra lines for, extra little details of how the hair is going to be flowing. And then I just go ahead and I lighten that layer because this is all just a sketch. And then this is where I start focusing on my actual lines. So this is where I start actually beginning the line art. So I'm basically just following the lines. And I think one of the biggest things is you don't have to be 100% exact. So if you notice, I'm going in, my lines are thinner than the sketch. And, as you can see in some of the lines, I'm not really 100% following these lines to a T. And that's okay, because what these lines do, they're just guidelines. And I'm basically just going in and filling in wherever I feel is best. So, because I have the guidelines, and then I just sort of go with the flow of what I think for a final look would be best. I also think it's important to be sort of loose with your strokes, especially if you are able to do longer strokes than shorter. It's really just all about, training yourself to just, if you're not used to long strokes, just really train yourself, see, especially with like the guidelines underneath, you can see where your line has to go. And clearly, as you can see from my line art and my sketch underneath, I've mentioned it before, it's not perfect, it's not dead on, and that's okay. What I'm looking for with my line art is a crisp sort of smoothness to it, and it's the only way that I have found that I've been able to achieve that is by being very loose and making, the long strokes. So like just there, I was able to just make that curve, eyeball it for, a little bit, and just any mess ups, I just went ahead and I erased on. And so now we have basically a bit of an outline of our hairstyle. So then I zoom back in and I go in and I'm putting in, more detail, more lines, just to sort of guide me on where the hair is being tucked in, where it's going, and places that have a lot of blank white space. This is often good for when you are going to go in and color afterwards. You understand where your flow is, where the hair is going. Eventually, if you're looking for a more painterly style, you might abandon that technique. But yeah, that was our first hairstyle. So now I'm going in to the second, and I'm just going right for the bangs. And right there, you saw me do that almost S-like line. And I wouldn't say it was effortless, but it was done in a very loose manner. I followed my guideline, obviously not to a T, but enough to just get that little swoop in there. And I'm just going through and following the rest of my guidelines. I'm focusing on making this hairstyle very bouncy, very bob-like. And then just making little flyaways here and there to kind of give a more realistic kind of feel. And then I'm gonna finish up that top part by connecting my line. And then after that, I go in and I add, this is basically the outline essentially. And then I go in and I add my little details like before, like I did with the other one, where I'm trying to show where exactly the hair strands, the directions that they're going in. Again, this is important for when I go into color later, and also just to give the viewer the idea of how her hair is shaped. What direction are these single, hairs going in? So this is also important. This is like the under area of the hair, which in order to get that depth, you want to do like several little lines going in the same direction, so that you that is kind of just underneath, and it gives a lot of good depth to it, which you don't see in the first characters, but that's okay because she doesn't have really bouncy hair as the second one does. So I hope you enjoyed these two hairstyles, and I really hoped you enjoyed this tutorial. join me in the next video as we go ahead and start on the eyes, and I show you the different style of eyes that I give each character. So if you haven't already, comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.